What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fan, 49er gang? This is your boy, Niner Gang Podcast, back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. So this video more so is just about the playoffs in general. And yes, I'm talking playoffs. Andy Smith, what's up, man? What's going on, Bob Money? So we had Super Wild Card Weekend kickoff in ways you cannot even imagine. And we're going to go through some of these games, man, and take a look and see exactly what happened, why it happened, and where everything is going from here on out. And we'll take a look at the current landscape and the playoff picture and see exactly what's happening. So, as a D Sizzle, brother, you ain't said nothing but a word, man. It just we can't never have just a convincing win where we can be comfortable and know what's going on. With the guy we got at quarterback, you all know that is definitely not the normal tax that we like to have. But let's go ahead and kick it off, man. So one of the first games of the weekend was the New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. Now I didn't get a chance to do game picks for this week, as far as the playoffs were concerned, but all of my picks seem to have been working out fairly well. If I would have picked anyone, yes, happy MLK Day. That is correct. RIP to Martin Luther King. Definitely, the 49ers had a dream, and that dream was to go in and beat the Cowboys. And boy, was that dream realized. But Eddie Glover, what's happening, man? There we go. Hey, I like it. I like it. Check out Eddie Glover. What up, D? Let's fucking go. We took that shit. Win City. Hey, that's how it works. So, first game of the weekend was the Patriots versus the Bills. Now, here's the thing. The score was 47-17. That is just an all-out obliteration of the New England Patriots. And I know Bill Belichick doesn't like to lose like that. So that was really harsh, man. The quarterbacks did not duel it out. It was a one-sided affair. Buffalo scored 14 in the first, 13 in the second quarter, 6 in the third quarter, and another 14 in the fourth quarter. Josh Allen was 21 of 25, 308 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He wasn't even sacked. So that tells you right off the bat, Josh Allen was balling. He was on top of his game in ways you can't imagine. And you know the funny thing, man, everybody says you need a run game to win the Super Bowl. Obviously not over there in Buffalo because they could care less about the damn run game because they completely just obliterated the Patriots, man. The Patriots did score 17 points, 3 in the second, 7 in the fourth, 7 in the third, and 7 in the fourth. But they were still no match for them. Mac Jones was 24 of 38 for 232 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions, and he was sacked 3 times. Patriots running game gave them no help, 89 yards rushing, and that was as a collective with Damian Harris, Rodamore Stevenson, and a couple of runs from Mac Jones and one from KB. Run game for the Buffalo Bills was actually a lot better. Devin Singletary, 16 carries for 81 yards and 2 TDs. Josh Allen had 6 carries for 66 yards with 11 yards per carry. I had to say that because I cannot say the other two and let that go away. Even Isaiah McKenzie, 3 carries for 29 yards. So the Buffalo run game was all over the place, man. 5 yards per carry by Devin Singletary with the 2 TDs. Man, you can't ask for much more from your run game, period. That was definitely a beautiful thing. And the next thing, we go ahead and jump over to the receiving. So the leading receiver for the Patriots was KB, 7 catches for 77 yards and 2 TDs. You can't really ask for much more from a receiver, to be honest with you. You truthfully can't. I mean, if the man goes out there, gives you 7 catches for 77 yards, he gets you 2 TDs, and y'all ain't producing nothing else. That's not on just KB. That's on everybody, man. That's a team L, and that's a hard pill to swallow. After that, the ball was spread around pretty much. You got Jacoby Myers, 6 catches for 40 yards. Rodamore Stevenson, he seemed to be a little bit of a dual threat, 4 catches for 33 yards. Brandon Bolden, 4 for 27. Flip to the other side of the ball. Dawson Knox, the tight end, 5 catches, 89 yards, 2 TDs. Stephon Diggs, only 3 catches for 60 yards, and he didn't have any touchdowns. So Diggs wasn't even really a factor in this game like that. Josh Allen had 5 TDs, and none of them were to Stephon Diggs. So that tells you something. You got, it looks like another tight end named that was the offensive lineman that scored a TD. Tommy Doyle, 1 catch for a TD. That was all it was. Emmanuel Sanders, 2 catches, 36 yards in a TD. Gabriel Davis, 2 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. So that tells you right there that Buffalo was clicking on all cylinders. Todd, what's going on, brother? 49 Lakers for life. What's happening? So that tells you that, the Bills were clicking on all cylinders in ways you can't imagine. The run game, the pass game, that was just complete and flat out utter domination of the Patriots. As I stated, the Patriots had no sacks. They had no tackles for a loss. Like, that defense was just being, bombarded with the offense of the Buffalo Bills. And then the Bills on the flip side, like I said, they had 3 sacks. They had 4 passes defense. It just looked crazy. It was 2 interceptions. Micah Hyde and Levi Wallace both got themselves a pick. And, it just it was play in and play out. The Buffalo Bills had the Patriots number, period. There was nothing anyone can do as far as that is concerned. So shout out to all the Buffalo Bills fans. Shout out to Bills Mafia. You guys did it, man. You did it. You advanced into the playoffs. You got to keep going, keep rolling, and we'll get to the way the playoff picture currently looks right now as far as that goes. So the next game on the docket here, and I perfectly picked this one, was the Bengals versus the Raiders. This was a better game. It was a really good game. It was a close one. It was 26-19. So that's not far off, man. All you got to do is score a touchdown and kick a field goal, and that's tied. You go to OT. Wasn't able to happen, man. The Bengals went in and did what they were supposed to do, scored 10 in the first, 10 in the second, 3 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. And the Raiders scored 3 in the first, 10 in the second, nothing in the third, and only 6 in the fourth. Derek Carr, 29-54 for 310 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. He did take 3 sacks. Joe Burrow, 24-34, 244, 2 TDs, no interceptions, and he did take a couple of sacks. He took 2 sacks. Josh Jacobs, 13 carries for 83 yards, and Derek Carr 1 for 20. So that was pretty much it, man. There were no TDs by the rushing people by the run game for the Raiders. Then you flip to the other side of the ball. Joe Mixon, 17 carries for 48 yards. He only had 2.8 yards per carry. That's actually really horrible. So that just tells you that the Raiders didn't allow the run game to do much of anything. But those 2 touchdowns that they scored, being Cincinnati, that allowed them to be able to get this lead along with a couple of field goals. So Darren Waller, 7 catches, 76 yards. He was the leading receiver for the Raiders. He's the tight end. Another kid named Zay Jones had the only touchdown of the game, 5 catches, 61 yards, and 1 TD. Everybody else was pretty quiet. Hunter Renfrow on 8 catches, 58 yards. Josh Jacobs had a couple of catches out the backfield that averaged 11 yards per catch. But you flip to the other side of the ball, man. Jamar Chase, 9 catches, 116 yards. CJ Uzama, 6 catches, 64 yards in the TD. Tyler Boyd, 4 catches, 26 yards in the TD. So it's not just showing you right then and there, man, that this was not a overwhelming performance by the Bengals offensively. It just, things worked in their favor, and they lucked out. Derek Carr did fumble in the game, and he did lose that fumble, so that allows the Bengals to come in and capitalize on that. And then when you look at the defensive numbers, Logan Wilson, I keep telling y'all about this kid. Y'all gonna wake up and realize Logan Wilson is not a is not a guy to be messing with, man. That young kid is a great middle linebacker, and he's going to be great for years to come. Logan Wilson led the team to tackle 12 tackles. He had a pass defense. The Cincinnati Bengals had 9 pass defense in this game, 3 sacks and 3 TFLs. That's fantastic. That tells me you're getting the ball, you're getting your hands up, you're getting your head around as the defensive back, and you know how to be able to either knock the ball down at the line of scrimmage or continue to track it while it's in the air and make sure that the receiver gets nothing. And that's definitely lovely. When you flip to the other side of the ball, the Raiders did have their, They went ahead. They had their 2 sacks, 5 TFLs, and they only had 2 passes defense. And that's what it is. The Raiders usually are suspect on defense. That's usually how it always is. They don't have great passing threats as of right now. Hunter Renfrow is usually the biggest threat. And Darren Waller, but if you slow those guys down and don't allow them to do much, there's nothing really to be worried about. So the Bengals pulled this one off, man, and I was going to pick the Bengals either way to go ahead and get it. They get the W, 26-19. And then when you look at the kicking, Evan McPherson, 4 for 4, baby. Easy money. Nothing to be worried about. And then when it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders, same thing. Daniel Carlson, 4 for 4. The only difference is there was TDs from 2 TDs from Joe Burrow to be able to allow them to get where they went. And that's exactly what happened, man. The Bengals get the dub. They move on in the playoffs, and that's a fantastic thing for them, man. You got to love that. So we're moving on to the next game really quick. Next game on the docket is Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, no one expected the Eagles to win this game, but the first half was an atrocity for Philadelphia. Actually, I take that back. Looking at everything, the first 3 quarters was an atrocity from Philadelphia. No points scored in the first, second, or third quarter, while Tampa Bay went 14 in the first, 3 in the third, 3 in the second, 14 in the third, and then nothing in the fourth. So they came up with 31 points. They beat them 31-15. All 15 of the Eagles' points were scored in the fourth quarter, man. And this seemed to be a game where they were just getting dominated because every time you looked up, the score was just out of control. And they had that 31-0 lead on them going into the fourth. So that tells you that, they basically had their number. Jalen Hurts, 23 of 43 for 258 yards, 1 TD, and 2 interceptions. Took 2 sacks as well. He was their leading rusher, 8 carries for 39 yards. Boston Scott had 1 carry for 34 yards. As a total, they had 95 yards rushing. But if you take away what Jalen Hurts had, that just leaves you the quarterback. And that just leaves you the 2 running backs, Boston Scott and Miles Sanders, and neither one of them did much of anything. Boston Scott only had 1 run for 34 yards. That's the reason why it looks ridiculous. But then when you look at Miles Sanders, 17 carries for 16 yards, that just tells you that this run defense is straight up solid in Tampa Bay, and it's been that way. Dallas Goedert was the leading receiver, 6 catches for 92 yards. The only touchdown went to Kenneth Gainwell. Jalen Reagor looks like he fumbled twice and lost one of those. Then Jalen Hurts had fumbled as well, but he was able to recover it. And, those are things that you can't have happen. That is definitely not what you want, especially not in the playoff game, man. They were already getting dominated as it is, and all of those things, come into play to be able to allow the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get where they need to go. So Tom Brady was 29-37 for 271 yards, 2 TDs. He did take 4 sacks, so that tells you the Phillies defense was getting after him. It just wasn't enough. Don't get me wrong, Tom Brady's numbers aren't gaudy or ridiculous, but it doesn't matter, man. When you have when you're balling, hey, if I'll take 271 and 2 interceptions. Those aren't overwhelming numbers, but it gets the job done. So you just got to kind of roll with it. Look at the run game. There was a touchdown by Keyshawn Vaughn and one by Giovanni Bernard. Gio Bernard sighting. That's beautiful, man. Gio Bernard was one of the pickups that they had a while back, and he was most known for the work he did when he was in Cincinnati, when he was a Bengal. Mike Evans, 9 catches, 417 yards, 1 TD. Rob Gronkowski, 5 for 31, 1 TD. And that's all you really need, man. You don't need to have a ridiculously crazy game to be able to win. And though the numbers seem to be a little pedestrian, it's all about just getting the job done as a collective. So when your run game is popular, you add 2 TDs on top of that, it just makes life that much easier for your defense. So the defense for the Buccaneers, you got, Mike Edwards led the team in tackles with 9. As I stated, they had 2 sacks. They got 6 TFLs. They had 7 passes defense, and that works out well. Shaq Barrett and Mike Edwards had the 2 interceptions. Then you go ahead and you look at the kicking. Suckup only had to kick once as far as the field goal, and he nailed that. Everything else just worked out very well. So this game, unfortunately, was a beatdown of the Eagles, and we all saw that coming because for 3 quarters they just couldn't even get into the end zone, let alone stop the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from doing so. Hey, what's going on, man? I don't know. I hear everyone saying that Jimmy's hurt right now. I haven't looked into it. I have not seen that, so I'll take a look and see what's going on. Try to catch some news real quick and definitely put it right here on the channel. Just going through the playoff games as we speak. So the next game on the docket was the Steelers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I say next game because I'm going to keep our game for last because I like to talk about us more than any other team. But either way, we still got to talk about the playoffs. So this game had a little bit of controversy, and I'll tell you why. So Big Ben goes out and basically says, hey, we ain't supposed to be in the playoffs. Let's go. Let's have some fun. Let's do whatever, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. So Najee Harris puts that on his Instagram, and he has the caption, nigga what? It's like, bruh, you can't go in there and do that, Big Ben. You cannot. You know this is probably your last game playing football. You're going to retire. You're going to ride off into the sunset. You probably want to have a little more energy. You want to be a little more hype, and you want to be telling everyone what's really going on and how things are working out and all this other stuff. So at the end of the day, we need to be able to make sure that, you go in there with the head of steam and saying, hey, I'm going to win this game. You can't go in there trying to have fun, not against Patrick Mahomes. You want to have fun against a quarterback that ain't going to do nothing against you. You don't go in there and have fun against Patrick Mahomes. He whooped your ass. And by the score, he did whoop your ass. It was 42-21. Nobody scored in the first. Kansas City exploded in the second with 21 points. Then they scored another 14 in the third and another 7 in the fourth. And then basically it was for the Pittsburgh Steelers, second, third, and fourth quarter, all 7 points each quarter. So that definitely wasn't going to cut it. You weren't helping yourself there. And then with the comments and whatnot, it makes it seem like you didn't care. So Big Ben was 29 of 44 for 215 yards and 2 TDs. So that's extremely pedestrian. Those are lower numbers than what Brady had. Brady had 271. Big Ben has 215. And Najee Harris, nothing. 12 carries, 29 yards, average 2.9 yards a carry. They, as a whole, Pittsburgh averaged 2.8 yards per carry. That's trash. That tells me that your O-line is hot garbage. And that tells me that the defensive line for Kansas City is a force to be reckoned with because they basically shut you down when it came to that. So you would have had to rely on your passing game, but with 215 yards and 2 TDs, that definitely wasn't going to help you do much of nothing. So James Washington had a TD. Deontay Johnson has a TD. Both of them just mediocre yards. 2 catches for 37 yards for Washington, 5 for 34 for Deontay Johnson. These are just basic, everyday, pathetic numbers. Then you flip to the side of the ball. Najee Harris gets a fumble. He loses it. Ben Roethlisberger, fumbles, but he was able to recover. They were able to recover that one. Tremaine Edmonds led the team in tackles with 6. So they did have 3 sacks on Patrick Mahomes, 8 tackles for a loss, and 4 passes defense. But that still tells you they didn't do much of anything by way of stopping the Kansas City Chiefs because flip to the other side. Patrick Mahomes, 30 of 39 for 404 yards, 5 TDs, and 1 interception. I will take those numbers, and he took 3 sacks. I'll take those numbers any day. I could care less about that 1 INT when you give me 5 fucking touchdowns. That's lopsided as hell. And then you got Travis Kelce throwing the goddamn touchdown. 1 for 1 for 2 yards and 1 TD. So you get 6 TDs passing. That tells me that the defensive backfield for Kansas City is dumb suspect in ways you can't imagine. So Jerick McKinnon sighting, 12 carries for 61 yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry. So old tired legs McKinnon ain't so goddamn tired. Nice to see him out there playing football, I guess. Me personally, y'all know how I feel about Jerick McKinnon. Fuck him after his comments and what he said after we lined his pockets for years, and he gave us nothing in return for it. So that's a total 22 carries, 106 yards as a collective, no TDs rushing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the receiving. Travis Kelce led him 5 catches, 108 yards, 1 TD. Jerick McKinnon, 6 catches, 81 yards, 1 TD. Tyreek Hill, 5 for 57 and a TD. Mecole Hardman, 4 for 43, no touchdowns. Byron Pringle, 5 for 37, 2 touchdowns. Nick Allegretti, one catch for a TD. So that tells you automatically that's what's going on. Darrell Williams did have a fumble, but it didn't even make a difference. This game was so lopsided, and they were beating the shit out of the Steelers the whole game, so it wouldn't make a difference. Mecole Hardman had a fumble as well, but they recovered his. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball: 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, and 2 passes defense. So when you look at those numbers, it doesn't look like they did much, to be able to stop them, but they basically tried to run the ball and were shut down when it came down to it and then with the passing, it was just horridly pathetic. 29 of 44. So you threw the ball 44 times and all you have to show for it is 215 yards and 2 TDs. That's really, really bad. That tells me that you didn't even care about the game. It means nothing and no one cares. What's happening, 49 Chanel? But that's just basically how it works, man. So you see that the Pittsburgh Steelers got their ass handed to them by the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs move on, man. They ain't playing no games. Patrick Mahomes trying to come for that second title. He want to go to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row, and I wouldn't be mad at him. Hey, that's the whole goal. At the beginning of every season, your goal and your idea is supposed to be, hey, get out there and win the damn Super Bowl. That's what your goal should be at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Your first goal, really honestly, is to get into the playoffs by beating the teams that you need to beat to have the record you need to have to get in. And once you get into the playoffs, you all know, and you got to make things happen. So, save our guest guy. What's up, John V? Save the best game for last. 49ers versus Cowboys. The game of the weekend. No one cared about anything else. We all knew the Kansas City was going to smack the shit out of the Steelers. We all knew that the Bengals was going to beat the Raiders. We all knew that the Philadelphia Eagles had no business in the same stadium as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We all knew. Maybe we didn't really know about the Patriots and the Bills, but Josh Allen put that shit to bed real quick. So obviously that was it. Good vibes. Once Jimmy threw that pick, and that pick made Kyle take it out of his hands and run the ball. May just be the game plan against Green Bay. John V, I'm so happy we beat Dallas. So that first one was from Good Vibes. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you for coming in. Definitely anybody, if you're in here and you're brand new, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, keep your post notifications on. I'll keep you up to date on the playoffs and definitely up to date on the 49ers. So our game was the game of the weekend, man. We have such a rich history with the Dallas Cowboys. We beat what's happening, Sean? We beat them. They beat us. It's a back and forth, man. This has been going on since the fucking 70s. And, it's so deep rooted. And like our fans have a genuine dislike for the other team. Cowboy fans don't like 49er fans and we don't like them, and the teams just definitely just don't care for each other. And we knew that we could go into Big D and beat them because they beat mediocre ass teams to get the record that they have. You got to think about it. They have the Eagles, they have the Washington football team, and they have the Giants in their divisions. The NFC least for a reason. It's the easy 6 wins. Like, that's not even a problem. The only team that even gave them any part of an issue, I think, was a little bit of Washington and a little bit of the Eagles, but the Giants ain't beating no damn body. No one cares about Daniel Jones. And they currently are head coachless. They don't even have anyone as a head coach, and I don't even think they have anyone in there as a general manager right now. So, that division is very weak. And then you jump over to the NFC West. It's not a joke. It's not a game. We got straight killers in our division. What's happening, Danny Terry? So it's definitely a situation. So we all went into this game looking and going, man, we just got to get this dub, get out of here with a win. Don't matter how we get it, we just got to get it. One thing that I will go ahead and immediately address is, we saw I saw Jack Hammer and I saw David Lombardi. And both of them posted some very encouraging things about Jimmy Garoppolo and his performance. Now, y'all heard me just talk about all these other quarterbacks and everything that all the other quarterbacks did. Okay? I'm going to give you Jimmy Garoppolo's numbers right now. And I want y'all to tell me in the comments if that's a star quarterback or if we should be giving him an excuse for what he does. Jimmy Garoppolo was 16 to 25 for 172 yards and 1 interception. What am I supposed to do with that? In no way, shape, or form did you help us win the game. I'm sorry. You had one interception and you didn't even make the 200-yard mark. You didn't even hit 175. And you know why that is, Jimmy? Because Kyle doesn't trust you. You start fucking up, and when he sees you fuck up, he takes the ball out of your hands and he does not give you a chance to try to win a game because he doesn't want to. Because he gets scared. He's like, man, if you throw another motherfucking interception, bro, or you fuck up another wide open pass, it's pathetic. And what kills me is there are other people that come in and they say, oh, well, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. All these other people on these other teams are not my goddamn quarterback, period. They are not. So I don't care what Tom Brady did. I don't care what Patrick Mahomes did. I don't care what Josh Allen did. I don't care what Jalen Hurts did. All I give a fuck is about the quarterback that's on my team named Jimmy Garoppolo. Because he's unfortunately our starter because our head coach seems to believe that he gives us the best chance to win. So it's basically a situation where you got to look at it and say, hey, we got to deal with this dude, so we're going to have to just ride it out, and there's not really much of a choice. Does he give you the best chance to win? There's a yes and a no. There's a give and a take. I personally don't believe that he does. I believe that he gives us the best chance to lose at times because there's plenty of times where he throws balls that are just crazy. And the sad part about it is they asked Jimmy in his presser, what happened on the pass to IU? Yeah, man, that's another tough one. It just got away from me a little bit, just overshot it. How many times are you going to overshoot the ball? How many times is Kyle going to walk to the goddamn podium and make it seem like you are the second coming to Joe fucking Montana and make you seem like you're the greatest quarterback on a continual basis? It's not fair to us as fans for you to continually walk out there and fuck up, and then we're supposed to basically turn around and call your shortcomings, turn it into gold from, shit to stone or something like that. Don't work like that. No. At the end of the day, period, point blank, that was a mediocre performance. And I challenge anyone else to tell me different. That first drive was fantastic. I loved it. You couldn't stop us that first drive. Matter of fact, let me just go over the first drive with you guys just so you'll be able to see it because it was flat out fucking amazing. I loved it, man. I loved every second of it. It was so beautiful. So the first drive of the game for us ended in a touchdown. 1st and 10. There was a penalty. And we wound up getting 5 yards. That was easy. There wasn't nothing there. So 1st and 5, Deebo Samuel up the middle to the SF 39, for 39 yards. That was a run. So next play, shotgun, Deebo Samuel up the middle to the SF 40 for a yard. Next play, 2nd and 9, Jimmy Garoppolo pass short to Travis Benjamin. Pushed at the Dallas 43 for 17 yards. Next play, Jimmy Garoppolo, short pass over the middle to the Dallas 32 for 11 yards. Elijah Mitchell to Dallas 19 for 13 yards. Jimmy Garoppolo pass short to Deebo Samuel for 15 yards. Elijah Mitchell, 4-yard run, good, and touchdown. So that was easy. So that first drive was magical. It was fantastic. I'll tell you right now, I take Tyrann Mathieu over anybody. Honey Badger is just flat out beast, and I can play him in many positions. I can bring Honey Badger down in the box. I can use Honey Badger the same way that we use Jimmy Ward. That's why I like him. I can use him in every position. He can play all of the defensive backfield spots, and I can even put him in as a linebacker if I need to on certain plays. He's a Swiss Army knife, and he's a very, very fantastic player. I like him. So then you look at the rest of the first half. Go to Dallas. We get a punt. Come to us. Field goal. Dallas. Punt. Come to us. We get a field goal. Dallas. Touchdown. Back to the 49ers. We get a field goal. Trying to stop this thing. There we go. So you come to us, we get a field goal, Dallas punt, and then we just go ahead and take it into the half. We're up 16-7 at that point. So what does that tell you right there? Jimmy on the first drive led us to 7 points. After that, it was 1, 2, 3 Robbie Gould field goals because things started to fall apart. He started to miss things. Jimmy had at least about 3 shitty ass throws. Number one fucked up throw of the game was to Brandon Ayuk. The man was wide open and possibly could have scored his touchdown, and he overshot him. And every time he overshoots someone and they ask him about these things, all you have to say is, man, it's a tough one. I just like to have that one back, but yeah, it's a tough one. Why is it always a goddamn tough one? No one has time for that shit. I don't want it to be a tough one. I need you to make the fucking play. That's what you get paid $26 million to do, is make plays. Not come out here and give me mediocre ass performances week in and week out. The fuck is that about? But there is a bright spot in all of this. Let's go ahead and jump over to the run game, because the run game did what they were supposed to do, as they always do. They bailed out Jimmy because he was looking like hot garbage. Elijah Mitchell, 27 carries, 96 yards, 1 touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 10 carries, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. So those are the 2 long touchdowns of the game. No touchdown passes thrown from Jimmy Garoppolo. The only touchdown runs were by Deebo and Elijah Mitchell. So we only scored 14 points for what we actually have. But, that's what we have to do. Because why? Jimmy winds up fucking up. Kyle takes the ball right out of his hands. We threw the ball 25 times. We ran the ball 38 times. What does that tell you? It's another situation where we had to go almost to 40 times running the ball to be able to win the game because of the ineptitude of the current quarterback that we have. So for all y'all out there loving Jimmy Garoppolo, thinking Jimmy Garoppolo is the greatest thing since sliced bread, I'm telling you right now, it's not true. This is a lie. And there is nothing there that you can tell me that tells me that he's this great guy. Oh, he just wins. Does he? Or does he ride the coattails of the run game and the defense? And that's how, the numbers wind up on his list. Because I can tell you right now, 172 yards and an interception ain't winning shit. What if Dallas actually had magically showed up and knew how to stop our run game? We wouldn't have won that game. You know why? Because Amari Cooper had 1 TD. That was the easiest thing. Dak Prescott had 1 rushing TD. He is a viable threat in running. We all knew this coming into the game, though he didn't do much running in this game. It's simple things that show you that the quarterback is inept, and it's extremely unfortunate. But there are people out there, commentators and pundits and NFL, aficionados that believe that Jimmy Garoppolo just gets a bad break, and quarterbacks have a bad game. Well, the shitty part is when you continually say that. You can't keep using that as an excuse. Well, they just, everybody has a bad game. Really? Well, then why does he have more bad games than good? These are just facts, people. And you can't dispute what I'm telling you because it's all laid out right there. You can look at the man's number for the season. You can look at the man's numbers game by game. You can look at his playoff numbers. When we were in the playoffs in 2019, and I know everybody hates to bring this up, but it's period. It's very simple. He did nothing. You took the ball out of his hands versus the Vikings. You took the ball out of his hands versus Green Bay, and you decided to put the ball in his goddamn hands against Patrick fucking Mahomes in the Super Bowl. What sense does that make? None. It's all clock control and game managing. We just hope every week in and week out, that Jimmy doesn't fuck this up. It's basically what it is. And that's exactly what happened. We're sitting there stuck like Chuck and trying to make sure that these guys don't screw, that he doesn't come out and lay an egg on us. That's the biggest issue. So you go over and look at the receiving. 5 catches for 66 yards from Brandon Ayuk. 3 catches for 38 yards for Deebo Samuel. Jauan Jennings, 3 catches for 29 yards. 1 to Kittle, 1 to Benjamin. So small things, little things that happen. That's what I'm saying. No numbers out there are anywhere near spectacular, as far as the receiving game goes. And that's not something that, you got to blame on the receivers. You typically can put that on Jimmy because it's not a situation where they weren't getting separation or they weren't able to be hit. There's plenty of throws in the game that he could have made. He just never made them. Emmanuel Mosley, 12 tackles, and then when you look at us, we sacked Dak Prescott 5 fucking times. Kevin Givens and Nick Bosa combined for a sack. Charles Omenihu had 1.5 sacks. Samson Ebicom had half a sack. DJ Jones had a sack. Eric Armstead had a sack. So we were in that backfield. and we were tearing him apart, man. K'Waun Williams. K'Waun Williams, shout out to KK, man. Shout out to the Shark, baby. Get them fins up. He had the best interception of the playoffs so far. That motherfucker one-handed that bitch, and that pass was horribly thrown by Dak. It was well behind the receiver. K'Waun sticks his arm out, brings that joint in, comes right down with it, boom, interception. So these are things that happen that are beautiful. But the issue is we get the interception. We can't capitalize on it with 6, or should I say with 7? We got to wind up with 3. Why? The ineptitude of the quarterback. That's exactly what happens. We did have 2 injuries in the game, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. We were really initially scared shitless because when Fred went down, it looked like he was grabbing his knee. It was an ankle injury. Fred has come out and said that he's fine. Kyle has said that he's fine. So he should be good to go for the Green Bay game. The next injury was to Nick Bosa, but that was just a concussion because basically he collided with DJ Jones' thigh, and that is a behemoth of a human being. So, it wasn't intentional. You're falling. It happens. Like, these are plays that can't be avoided. So we got Nick in concussion protocol all week. We hope he will be able to clear it by Saturday to be able to go for the Packers game, because we cannot, the pressure that we need to create, we need to have with him in there. Nick is a different beast when it comes to creating pressure, sucking up double teams, and opening up the doors for the other players on the defensive line to eat, which he never complains about, and I like that. But other than that, Robbie Gould was money, as I had stated. Robbie Gould, 3 for 3 on the field goals, man. Kicked them all in, and we was good. We didn't really have anything going on with the return game. We did get beat on a fake fucking punt again, and I believe Josh Norman was responsible for that. But either way, it's a fake punt. I don't put a lot of stock into it because you never know what can happen. It happens. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. So here's the thing. When you look at it, the fake punt was there. They got their first down. They did whatever they did. What's weird about that is because the guy went out of bounds on his own, they had that keep the punt team on the field. And then initially it looked like they were going to have to run a wildcat play. The next thing you know, boom, the actual offense and the offensive line comes running on the field. So I don't really know what happened there. That was a little confusing for me when that happened. So the other thing is you flip to the other side of the ball. So let's take a look at what Dallas did. Dallas was Dak Prescott, 23 of 43, 254 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times. Ezekiel Elliott, 12 for 31, averaged 2.6 yards per carry. Dak, 4 for 27 with that touchdown, along with Tony Pollard, 4 for 14. So if you take away Dak Prescott, you know what I'm saying? That was 50 yards rushing that we gave up because CeeDee Lamb had a run for 5 yards. 50 yards rushing that we gave up, and that was it. But 77 still as a total combined across that. People, if you're out there and you're watching the 49, don't plan for a run game. Just don't, because we'll stop you. The proof is in the pudding. Dak is not a running back. He's a quarterback. That scramble that he had, he would have been a dummy not to just run that shit in. But he did what he was supposed to do. And then when you flip to the receiving part, the receiving aspect of the ball, Dalton Schultz, 7 catches for 89 yards. Amari Cooper, 6 for 64 with the TD. Cedric Wilson, 5 for 62. CeeDee Lamb had 1 catch for 21 yards. So look at the numbers, and it tells you a story. CeeDee Lamb was nowhere to be found. He was locked down. Whether it was Ambry Thomas or Emmanuel Mosley, CeeDee Lamb was non-existent. Brandon Ayuk cooked Trayvon Diggs on a consistent basis from our side of the ball. So that's what we're saying. Like there were no sacks allowed by the offensive line at all. None, not one. So it was beautiful that we had those options and we were able to do the things that we were able to do and get them rolling in the right direction. That's what I liked, is that we went ahead and we went out there and we put it all on the line. Now, the issue is we couldn't get anything back in return from the offense. Like I said, there was Debo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell, after they scored, we couldn't score again. There was no throwing TDs. The man had one interception. We could have blown them out with all of the offensive possessions that we had, but we didn't. Why? Because our quarterback couldn't get the job done. And you can't tell me that it's not his job to do it, because that's what he gets paid the big bucks for. We only won up the Cowboys by 1 first down. We had 21. They had 20. We had 10 passing first downs and 7 rushing first downs. They had 12 passing first downs. First downs from penalties. We had 4. They only had 1 because they were penalized heavily in this game. They screwed up. I think it was 14 penalties, which is the most penalties by a player, by a team in the playoffs ever. When you look at the total plays, we only had 63. They had 70. Total yards, 341. They had 307. Total drives, we both had 11 drives. So from 11 drives, all you had to show for that is 23 points. I'm just saying, you're not going to score a touchdown on every single drive. If you do, fantastic. You love that. You revel in that moment. You are proud of it. But if you don't, and all you're kicking is field goals, it makes it way too easy for the other team to come back. And you leave the door open. And Dallas did what in the waning seconds of the game? They had 40 seconds and they got the ball back. And they were moving down the field. Why? Because we were playing prevent defense. Prevent defense doesn't do nothing but get you beat. You keep giving up chunk play after chunk play because you don't want to give up the big play. But you have to be able to play up on these guys to be able to stop them from doing things. Because you get the wrong person who's super dynamic and they make a play and they get busy and boogie down the field the right way, take the right angles on somebody and break somebody's ankles. And next thing you know, they didn't touch. They in the end zone. This game is lost. Because all they had to do was score, kick the field goal. 24-17. 24-23. We were lost. Simple as that. So the offense has to continue to move. The offense has to do things to be able to put up actual points on the board. We need touchdowns. We do not need field goals. George Kittle was non-existent in this game. I think he had 1 catch, if I'm not mistaken. That's it. So they took Kittle all the way out of the game. I don't even think Kyle even tried to throw to him. He just said, nope, I'm not even going to do it. And I know that Jimmy usually tries to look for him, but what happens? He threw a pass to Kittle was pretty much on the ground. Luckily, it did hit the ground. Why? Because if it didn't hit the ground, Kittle fumbles, they recover the ball, and that's that. So it is what it is when it comes down to it. And we got the W. We love that. But there are some things that we have to clean up. Namely, it starts with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know that people don't understand that, man. I know that they don't. It's definitely a hard task. It's a hard pill for some people to swallow because they love Jimmy and they think he's, doing a fantastic job. And, let's just give him a pass. Quarterback has a bad game. Everybody has a bad game. Well, you said that more often than not this season. And you can't say that about all the other quarterbacks you seem to like to compare him to. So at the end of the day, if the offense is supposed to move, it's his job to get the offense moving. And he did not do that. He had several passes way in the dirt. And he had a couple of passes where he sailed it over the receivers. The one to Juice, I'll give him a pass on strictly based on the fact that the one to Juice, I don't think that he was necessarily trying to hit him. I think he was just trying to throw the ball away because Juice is all of, I think, 6 foot, and Jimmy be throwing the ball to Juice like he's 6'7". There are times where he misses him. So this game was a tough game. It was a hard-fought game. We got the W. Even when Fred ran down, even when Bosa went down, we were still able to go ahead and finish the game out strong and get everything done. At the end of the game, as I stated, the Cowboys did have a chance, but they couldn't get set at that last minute. And what happened? Since they weren't able to get set, time ran off the clock, game over, boom, we win. And I can't say enough about what we did as a team to be able to win. But what I can do is say a lot about the ineptitude of the quarterback not being able to get us more points. We need those points. And that's why I was looking at those numbers, and that's what frustrates me week in and week out. And then you have people running around here and they give him a pass for every single thing and tell him, oh, well, it's okay, quarterbacks have bad games. You can't expect everybody to be perfect, but these are things that happen. So if you look at our second half, let's just go ahead and take a look at that. Dallas gets the ball first because we received. So it was a punt. Then we punted. Then there was an interception. Then we scored a touchdown. After that, Dallas punts. We punt. Dallas gets a field goal. Jimmy throws a pick. Then Dallas scores a touchdown off that interception. So they got points off of their turnover while we did the same. But that touchdown was not Jimmy throwing the ball. That, I believe, was Deebo Samuel, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was Deebo Samuel with the touchdown. And then we punt. Turnover on downs from Dallas. We punt again. And then it was the end of the game. So that's what I'm saying. These TDs come from when the offense runs the ball properly. If we can't throw, we're not going to be able to beat Aaron Rodgers. And I'm going to tell you that wholeheartedly. We will not beat Aaron Rodgers if we can't throw the ball. And let me tell you something. For the defense, for DeMeco Ryans out there, let me say this very simply. The man told you what he was doing the last time we played him in the season. He said the premise of the game for him was get the ball to Tay. So what does that tell you? Get it to Davante Adams. What does that tell you? You need to guard Davante Adams. Emmanuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas, you got a tall task because that is a great receiver right there. I will not take anything away from Davante Adams because he is a great receiver. He's numero uno. But what you do want to do is you want to be able to make sure that you have help over the top. Don't allow them to kick you in the ass and just take advantage of you. You want to be smart. At the end of the day, man, we'll go ahead and do another preview show for Dallas at some point. I'm sorry, for Green Bay at some point because we've already beaten Dallas. But these are just nuggets for the whole playoffs and for what we have and what's going on. And let's take a look at the current playoff landscape as we see it now. I know we got the win. It was an ugly win, but either way, man, damn it, we won. And that's all that matters. Whether you win by 1 or you win by 50, a dub is a dub. And that's basically what everybody will pretty much go ahead and state as a reason for it. So let's take a look here. We're going to look at the playoffs and see where we are. So hold on, give me one sec. Because we have to wait for the Cardinals and the Rams to play. And they do play tonight. They're on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN Plus. So for the divisional round, currently, as it stands, it will be on Saturday, the 49ers versus the Packers at 6:15 p.m. on Fox. The Bengals versus the Titans, 2:30 p.m. on CBS. And the Bucs will play the winner of the Rams or Cardinals game at 1 p.m. on Sunday. And the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs will play at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday. So let me tell you something. The Bills versus Chiefs game, I expect to be an all-out war. That could be a flat-out shootout between those two teams. But Josh Allen throwing those 5 fucking touchdowns, man, that can be amazing. And we all know Patrick Mahomes can throw touchdowns as well. So that could possibly be a really big game, a really massive shootout between those two. Then the next guy's up with the Bengals and the Titans. That's going to be a good game. 2 tight defenses, 2 good offenses. Will the Bengals be able to pull it out? Is Julio Jones going to even play in this game? Because A.J. Brown's been the one holding it down for the Titans the whole time. And then the best game of the weekend is going to be us on Saturday night going up against the Green Bay Packers. It is a storied rivalry. And in the playoffs in recent years, we have been kicking their ass all over the field. So Green Bay probably didn't want this, but they got this. And we have to make sure that we go out there and give them that work. Because there have been too many times in the playoffs where we have sent Aaron Rodgers packing and made him cry continuously because he doesn't want to be in Green Bay anymore. He wants to go wherever he wants to go. At the end of the day, we've got to be prepared for that game. As long as we can get Fred and Nick back, we'll be fine. Shout out to the commentator that completely screwed up the Bosa, because she was like, yeah, Joey Bosa's not in this game. Yeah, he ain't been in the game because he don't play for us. His brother Nick does. But, that's neither here nor there, right? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have to go ahead and end this show. I appreciate everyone for being in here. Support the channel. You see it right there rotating on the bottom, patreon.com/NinerGang Podcast. I accept whatever you can give if you would like to give. It doesn't make a difference whether it's $1 or $50. I don't really care. Just doing this to be able to make sure that, I have fun with this. This is a passion of mine. I love it. Everybody out there, continue to watch. If you got a friend, if you're watching over on Twitter, definitely go ahead and jump over on YouTube. Make sure that you like and subscribe. The link is right in my bio. And I'll go ahead and put the handles up as far as that is concerned. You'll see me right there. No, that's not it. Sorry. This is it. At SwiftD on Twitter, at 49er_Dion on IG. I appreciate everyone for being in here, man. Always got everybody out there. My boy John V, my boy Matt, Bob Money, Andy Smith. Let's see who else was in here. Looked like we had a little bot in here, but I ain't paying no attention. Good vibes. 83, appreciate you for stopping in. Danny Terry, Roy Boy, everybody out there, man. I just appreciate all y'all for taking the time out of the day to listen to me ramble about the playoffs, about the 49ers. I will be back with a preview video for the Green Bay Packers. I know I didn't necessarily get to do one for the 49ers versus Cowboys. I was over with my boys on the Hive. So definitely check out the Red and Gold Standard podcast. That's where we were to be able to go ahead and do the preview for that. We'll probably do that again. And there may be a post-game show coming tonight. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all stay faithful, stay blessed. And, hey, it's on the Green Bay, man, on the Lambeau on that frozen tundra. I know I ain't going to be there. I'm going to be watching on TV because I don't want nothing to do with no snow, and I do not like the cold like that. But y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay faithful. I'm out this joint. Peace.